Hey there, Start here. I don't usually do Dark Visions content. It's not one of my, it's not my favorite content. I don't particularly enjoy Dark Visions. I find it very boring. I think it's a whales game. It's, you know, it's good for those people who do put in a lot of money for their strongest units and they want to compete with other people who are out there, getting all the latest and greatest units. It's great for them, and that's fine. It gives me 2 weeks to not really have to stress too much about content. But since there's really nothing else going on this week, and we've got the Black Dragon trial coming out this week. I'm going to be away for the weekend. Not going to be able to get to that trial until sometime, probably like middle of next week. And so I figured I'd go ahead and put out a Dark Visions video, just, so you'd have something. Just wanted to put out something for you guys here, and just to let you know that I'm going to be away for about a week. So I'm just going to do the last 3 bosses here, because those are the only ones, all the early stage bosses are very, very simple to clear. They all only have maybe 1 billion damage caps, 2 billion damage caps. If you've seen any of my Vision Worlds early stages clears, you can basically follow very similar strategies or patterns to those. It's all very formulaic. And so I'm just going to show you the last 3 bosses and how I got the score that I have right now. You can see I'm currently at rank 249. That's going to go, that's going to keep going up. I'm hoping I'll stay in the top 1,000, because that's where the best rewards are, in my opinion. So they did finally increase the dark matter to 2,000 for I think you get 2,000 for anything under rank 2,000. Yeah, so even if you do 2,000 or rank 2,000 or better, you get 2,000 dark matter, which is nice, because that's going to help us get closer to those dark vision weapons, like the dark vision sword and the dark vision katana, that are really, really good. So I'm glad they finally did that. If you can manage to stay under 1,000, you get 2,000 lapis, and you get 2 of those galvanites, which you use to increase your Esper killers beyond the 300% killer cap. Currently, you can only do that for Beast Killer on Ifrit and Bird Killer on Siren. So, probably won't see too much use currently, but, it's always nice to have those. And so if you can stay under 1,000, you get a little bit of lapis, you get 2 galvanites, and you get the dark matter. So that's kind of nice. So for that reason, I put a team together and did my best, and hopefully I can stay under 1,000. I'll show you how I got there. But let's start with the 2 sub-bosses. I'll get through these pretty quick. So we've got Doomtrain. Doomtrain's the only one that's a little tricky, just because it throws up this 95% physical and magical mitigation, which is problematic for people. There are a couple of ways to get around it. I'm going to go the evoker route, and we're just going to take Yuna in there, and we're just going to slay it with Yuna. Yuna is strong enough to do this all by herself if she's EX3 with her crown upgrades, and so I've put 3 crowns into my Yuna, and she is EX3. If your Yuna's not EX3 or doesn't have crowns, you can also do this with with Summoner Rydia. You can do it with Tsukiko. You can do sort of a combination. So if you have Yuna and Tsukiko, they make a really strong combo in this one. The 2 sub-bosses have a 4 billion damage cap. It's actually just under 4 billion. It's 3.8 or 3.9, something like that. But if you hit 4 billion, you've hit the damage cap and you're good to go. And Yuna can do it by herself if you've got all the gear for her. And so I'll show you that now. And I tried to trim it down to sort of the lowest team I could get away with, using just Yuna as the solo damage on here. So we've got Luis. She's here for the 90% spirit break. She's also going to be our evade provoke unit. Yuna's bringing the damage. Summoner Braska is there for the mod boost to Yuna. Aerith is there for the light amps, also for the buffs, the 400% buffs, and the 250% LB damage buff. Dagger is here because she can do a 50% light amp field if she summons Alexander, and her normal form limit burst also does a 30 times mod boost to to Yuna. Mine is only EX1, unfortunately, so I have to waste a turn to fill up her LB to then buff Yuna. And so, you know, it may not be necessary for you to do that. Or if your dagger is EX2, then she can just do her LB on turn 1, and it's not a problem. And so, you know, there's some things. This will be a 3-turn clear. You could do it. Actually, I don't think you could do a 2-turn because you need 3 turns to set up Yuna properly. So yeah, either way, even with an EX0 dagger, she can get this done. And then I brought Elena strictly as a light imperil. I tried this with a couple of different light imperil units, and Elena does just fine. You could also bring Planet Destroyer Kuja for a stronger imperil, the 160% imperil. Or if you had Tsukiko, obviously Tsukiko imperils and then brings the imperil field on top of that. Any of those are great options to do extra damage on this fight. So let's take a look at the gear. The gear is really Yuna's the only one you got to worry about. For Luis, and this can be an EX0 Luis. She doesn't have to be EX2 or 3 or whatever. She's just my evade provoke unit, so Moogle Charm, Durandal, Danger gets the blood pumping, and then Shining Guardian of Hope for the 100% light buff. You don't really need that because we're actually going to have Elena do the light resistance buff for everybody. But if you didn't have Elena doing that, then you could do you could have this on here just to make sure, because the boss does nothing but light damage, as well as some non-elemental physical attacks, which she will evade, no problem. All right. Yuna, you're going to ignore her normal form, and in her Brave Shift form, just went full on with as much spirit and evocation gear as I could. You don't need the Dancer's Diadem of Will. It's just my highest spirit hat. If you had something like the Boater's hat or something, or just any kind of high spirit hat is fine there. Yuna's clothes, that's the 7-star Yuna's STMR, I believe. Of course, we've got her necklace upgraded. Make sure it's upgraded so you get the bigger, you get the LB buff on her. Silver pendant that actually comes from Dagger, so I used an STMR Moogle to pick that one up. It's really nice because it's got high spirit, and it also has 60% Evo damage and Esper damage, so that's very nice. Seymour's staff there, that's of course the 4-star Seymour who got upgraded to an NVA. It's a 2-handed staff, which is great for Yuna. Also comes with some evocation stats on it. And then just, yeah, filling up her evocation damage, and Shy Mermaid for the 200% Spirit True Double Hand. And then obviously she has her own vision card. Use whatever vision card you have that has high spirit on it if you don't have her at EX3. So yeah, so she's overloaded on Esper stats there, as you can see, 300% LB damage. She is good to go, and as you can see, I have fully awakened Warring Spirit. Only takes 2 crowns to get that 2,000 flat spirit, which is very nice. And I've only put 1 crown in Unleashed Evocation to give her just a little bit of extra Evo damage boost. You could put another crown into this, and it would give her, I think that bumps it up to 120% Evo damage. So yeah, I only put 1 crown. That's all I really needed for her. All right. Braska doesn't really need anything, just his TMR so he can chain on the burst turn. Aerith doesn't need anything. She is naked. Yeah, needs nothing. Dagger, completely naked, needs absolutely nothing. And Elena is basically naked, doesn't really need anything. Okay. So really Yuna is just carrying this fight. So let's get in here and see how we get it done. All right. So yeah, so the boss has this insane mitigation, but it's only physical and magic. It's not general mitigation. So that's why evokers work really well, because they ignore typed mitigations. You know, you might have seen videos out there where people kill the Doom Train and re-raise it. That way they can use their regular damage dealers. I'm too lazy for that, so I'm just going evokers all the way. All right, Luis starts with the Spirit Break. Summoner Yuna starts with her normal form LB. Braska can do, actually before I do, never mind. Alright, so Braska's going to do support from the Faith. That's going to fill up our Esper gauge so that Dagger can then summon Alexander. Aerith will use her LB, and Elena will do Crystal Refrag for the resistance buffs and Blessing of the Azure Crystal for break immunity. I'm not sure if the boss does breaks, to be honest, but it's nice to have that. Alright. Louise can just guard on this turn, so can Aerith. They don't need to do anything. So now we're going to come back, or we're going to Brave Shift Yuna. She will do Knowledge of the Staff for the Staff in Peril, Hymn of the Faith Plus, and Believe to fill up her LB. Alright, Dagger is just going to do Fill LB, so that she can use that next turn. Braska can just guard. Elena is going to shift and just do her Crystal Refraction for the Light in Peril. And that's a 130% Light in Peril. Alright, so there you see we've taken absolutely no damage. Luis is going to quad cast Chaos Chain Awakened with Aerith. Alright, Dagger does her normal form LB for the mod boost. We'll do Blue Wave here, and Elena will triple Bolting Strike. Alright, doesn't really matter because she can't really do any damage due to the mitigations. Alright, and we're just going to cap the chain with Yuna. Very, very simple. So, yeah, we can go at Chaos Wave Awakened is really nice and slow, and it's quad casted, so we can go ahead and start them and then do Yuna. Alright, and then do Elena and Braska. Should see a nice big number pop up in there. There we go. So you already saw there was a 4 there, so we're good on that one. There you go, 4.9, almost 5 billion all by herself, and that is all Yuna. Nobody else contributed, any kind of significant damage to this fight. So that was all Yuna, as we'll see in the damage report. All right, perfect score. Yep, 4.9. There you go. Alright, so that's a quick and easy way to get that one done. Obviously, if your unit is not quite as strong, there's a little bit of room for improvement there. Like I said, swap in either a bigger Imperil, bring your Tsukiko, bring Rydia, however you want to make that work for you. As long as you can hit 4 billion, you're good to go. Now the dragon is very, very easy. Weak to fire and water. I used a fire team, and this one is basically as squishy as, dare I say this one's as easy and as squishy as the early teams. This is going to be a 2-turn clear, very simple. You see I brought all these like big strong units. This is going to be way overkill. We're going to more than double the damage cap. Again, the damage cap is only 4 billion. We're going to do probably somewhere between 8 and 10 billion with this team. So, if you don't have a unit that you see here, or if you don't have the gear, don't sweat it too much, all right? Cacteria is literally here just for the breaks. You can ignore all this gear. She doesn't need it. Esther is going to start in shift form because she's going to auto cover. So all you need is just make sure she has her TMR equipped. And then in her normal form, 1 piece of Magister's gear for the chain cap up, and then just make sure she's got her dragon killers there, her own vision card. Not necessary, but just try and cap or get as close to cap on her killers as possible. You see, she's not even capped on killers. That's fine. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Sylvie doesn't really need anything. She's honestly just here for her Brave Shift LB for the buffs. Roberta is just here for the fire imbue and the dragon killers, and then she'll just do some chaining just to help us hit the chain score. So you can really ignore the gear. She doesn't need any gear unless you're struggling to hit the damage cap, and then you can gear her up, but I didn't even bother with the gear really. Chizuru in a normal form, I just gave her Tyvus' Spirit. It's not required, as you will see. We're doing way too much damage here. and then just stacked as much you know, attack gear as I could in there. Again, trying to hit the damage cap, or sorry, trying to hit the killer cap. She does 300% dragon, 300% LB. Gave her the cool smile card just because that's her best in slot for these types of things. If you're doing a burst within the first 5 turns, that really helps Chizuru do an insane amount of damage thanks to the blade work sharp as ice skill that adds that 50 times modifier to both parts of her Brave Shift LB. So that's a total 100 times modifier boost. Very, very nice, but it's totally unnecessary for this fight. My 2B, again, you know, she's stacked to the max with gear, but yeah, again, it's overkill, way overkill. Capped on killers and everything. Like I said, I mean, don't stress too much about this one. This fight is very, very simple. All right, so let's just get in here and crush this one real quick. All right, so this should be a quick and simple clear. Let's see, Cacteria, we'll just have her do power breaking, mental breaking, armor breaking needles for the 89% breaks. Before she does any breaking though, we want to make sure we do Dragon Killers, Mega Breath, Inferno Breath. We're just going to set these skills up because we don't want to do too much damage to this thing right away. She can go ahead and do Tyvis. Actually, you know what? She's not even going to use Tyvis. That's right. We don't even use Tyvis' Spirit here because this boss does wind damage, and Chizuru's nice because she can do Breezy Barrier, which does a 150% wind buff. So we're not even going to use that Tyvis' Spirit here. Esther will shift. We'll go ahead and just set her up for her burst turn next turn. Like I said, Sylvie is just going to shift, do her Brave Shifted LB. 2B can do her LB, her Brave Shifted LB to start for the mod boost. Okay, we're going to do all this before the breaks and all of that stuff. All right. Let's see. Okay, there we go. So now we can do our imbues and killers and all that stuff. Because yeah, this thing's fairly squishy, so you know we could potentially kill it on turn 1 if by accident. All right, there we go. No damage taken. So now Roberta is just going to do her Quad Mystic Breath. All right, 2B shifts. We use Sylvie to fill her up. I've got your back on 2B. There we go. Now she can do her LB. Chizuru's going to shift. Do her Brave Shifted LB. Alright, Esther does her LB. And this should definitely get us more than enough on the chain score. Now, I'll tap Roberta first to get things kind of started. And then I'll do Esther, Chizuru, 2B. You want to start with Esther so that 2B and Chizuru can take advantage of the LB damage field. Alright? So, we'll do Roberta. There you go, way over 100 chains, so we're good on that one. We should be doing, like I said, we'll probably double, if not more, the damage cap here. Yeah, 9 billion, so way more than needed. All right, and 2B probably carried that fight. Let's find out. I'm sure she did. Oh yeah, 2B hit the damage cap all by herself, but so did Esther and Chizuru combined. So if you didn't have a 2B, you know, Esther and Chizuru can take care of it by themselves there, as you can see. And so you can just slot in another unit that you might have that can fill in 2B's slot if you don't have 2B. So yeah, there are a lot of options there on this fight. All right, but that's just how I got the dragon done. So now for the big boy, Dullahan. So Dullahan is a Reaper, weak to he's weak to ice, lightning, and dark. So of course, anytime I see anything weak to lightning, I want to bring my best girls, Esther and Sylvie, and do a lightning team. So that's what I did, and I got lucky and pulled, I pulled a Cloud on tickets, the new Cloud, and then with the VIP shards was able to get him to EX +1. I wish he was EX2 because he gets a lot of nice perks at EX2, but he'll get there eventually. He's in the shard dungeon, so 50 to 100 days from now, he'll be there. But anyway, even an EX1 Cloud is very, very strong in this fight. As long as you can, EX1 is fine because you want that Brave shifted LB with the higher modifier. You could potentially still do just fine and do a decent score with an EX0 Cloud. You just, he'll have a slightly lower limit burst modifier, but he still gets a lot of nice perks even at EX0 for this fight. So I think you could still do this strategy with an EX0 Cloud as well. Now I actually had this was the first team that I put together to do my just to go for like the first clear for my high score clear, and then I worked with a couple of different teams with a couple of just doing some different little teams here and there. Like I tried putting in Dagger for the 50% lightning amp field for everybody to see if that would help, and that did all right. But it wasn't enough to really make it. It wasn't doing much better than this team. I also tried bringing my crowned Sakura for the big Imperil field, and again, that wasn't doing any better than this team. But this team it's comparable to this team. So these two teams are basically doing about the same amount of damage on average. I think this team has a higher ceiling potentially, but it requires, of course, everybody to roll high. I hate doing damage variance rolls, so I'm not going to do any damage variance rolls. And this team, I think, is slightly easier to gear because this team, you have to gear 5 DPS units, which can be a stretch for some people. So on this one, since this one does comparable damage, I'm going to show you this team because it's a little bit lower on the gear requirements. Now you notice we're not bringing any kind of magic tank. I'm not bringing Lilith. I'm not bringing Seymour. So that means our units are all geared for 300% dark resistance in some form, because this boss does a 200% dark imperil, followed up by a dark fixed magic nuke. And so it will definitely wreck your party if you're not prepared for it, or it will reduce your damage taken score considerably. So the two ways around it are to bring someone like the new Cecil, who can do an Omni cover on turn, who can start the battle with an Omni cover, and then he covers the attack. You could also bring someone like Lilith or Seymour, who does a preemptive 200% dark resist for the team, and that way the team only has to gear for 100% dark resist. So I'm doing it, for me, to try and get the best score I could. I went with the building everybody for 300% dark resist. You might not be able to do that, in which case this might not be the strategy for you. Also keep in mind that this is me using all my best units and best gear. So when you look at the gear, if you can't match the gear, don't sweat it too much. You should still be able to get a decent score, but I'm not showing you a budget clear here, right? So this is my team that I used to try and get the best score I possibly could. All right. And here is, let's go ahead and start with Cloud. All right. So he's going to start in his normal form, where he has the Obsidian Bracer for the breaks, and he's got 300% dark resist, as you can see. And so here's the gear that we use. Dark Lord's Armor does 80%. Angel Earrings is 50%. That's a 3-star TMR right there from Freya. Very easy to come by. Bruce's Dark Hat gives 30% dark resist. Keeping Back the Dark and Cool Beauty, that's 50% and 60% dark resist respectively. And then I gave him my Knights of Grand Shelt card, because that's the best vision card that I have for him at the moment. Then in his Brave Shift form, he is again as much of my best gear as possible. Buster Sword, because that gives him a static 1000 attack. 2 of Tifa's STMRs, because each of those gives 500 flat attack and 50% LB damage. They do stack. Magister's Regalia for the chain cap boost, Ruler's Crown for extra stats, and then just max out his undead killers, Buster style, to finish off his TDH. So he should be capped on Reaper Killer, LB damage, good to go. All right, ready to rock and roll. All right, so Esther, in her normal form, she's basically getting the leftovers on this fight, I'm not going to lie, because my two primary damage dealers are Cloud and 2B. So Esther's kind of just getting the leftovers, but she still does all right. So here's, just high-tech gear. I gave her Chains of Protection for to make sure she has 20% dark resist in this form. That's important because she needs to be totally immune on turn 4, I believe it is. So she needs that 20% dark resist. And then Chain Comprehension to give that extra 0.5 chain cap boost there. And then one undead killer just to finish off her undead killers. I gave her Wilk's card just so she had slightly higher base attack on the card. She's also easier to hit Reaper killers, so I gave Wilk Esther's card to help out with the Reaper killers on his end. In her Brave Shift form, she has, of course, 300% dark resist, and here's the gear that I used to get her there. She does need Rage Beast's Roar for this strategy to work, because she's going to dispel the Imperil on herself and on Wilk on turn 1. Because Esther and Wilk are the only ones that aren't going to have the full 300% dark resistance on turn 4 when the boss does an AoE dark magic attack. And so Esther and Wilk need to have that Imperil removed. And so Rage Beast's Roar is going to remove that on turn 1. Okay, so she should be good to go. Maxed out on Reapers, 400% LB damage, good to go. Rosa is here for of course, for the killers. So she does 250% Reaper killers. She also does 250% Dragon killers, so keep that in mind for those of you going up against the Black Dragon this weekend, all right? Rosa could come in handy. You'll probably see some clears out there with Rosa in the party. So that's the primary reason she's here. She, of course, has 300% dark resist. Not too hard to do that. Blue Wave to do some chaining. And then she's also here because I only have her EX1, but that's fine because she can do her SLB on turn 5, which is our burst turn. And that does a 300% LB boost for the party, which is very, very nice. If your Rosa is only EX0, that is fine. What you can do is you can give her you can actually give her Zidane's new upgraded STMR, I Want It to Go With You. You can give her this, and if you start it on turn 1, she will have her actions ready to go on turn 2. On turn 4. And in fact, that might actually be the better way to go. I think I'm actually going to try that. Now that I think about it, that actually would make more sense, because then I can give the 250% killers to everybody. I just thought of this, and I think it might actually be, because this lasts for 2 turns, I like it. All right, so an EX0 Rosa will actually work just fine. I'm going to try this. This is going to be the first time I've tried this one. I was using it on my Chizuru on my other team that I showed you, the other Lightning team. I had it on Chizuru, and Chizuru's used I Want It to Go With You on turn 1, then Tyva's Spirit on turn 4, and then Burst on turn 5. But I think this is going to work on Rosa too, now that I think about it. Very, very cool. All right, Sylvie just needs 300% in her normal form to start the battle. And, here's the gear that I used to get it there. Just whatever gear that you have to get her up to 300%. In her Brave Shift form, I'm going to have her do a little bit of damage on the burst turn. And so I tried to jack up her spirit a little bit more and give her some... Actually, I didn't give her any killers in this one, did I? That's all right. Oh, no, I did. I gave her Soaring Legendary Dragon. Yeah, so she's got a little bit of Reaper killer. I think she's like 150. Yeah. So, not too shabby. It gets the job done. All right. So she'll do just a little bit of chaining on the burst turn, and that should be fine. All right. Wilk in his normal form is 300% dark resist, and here's how we did that. Lumina is one of those units you can now buy for Star Quartz, so definitely go grab one, because it also comes with, it also comes with an 8 LB fill per turn. Very, very nice STMR. So grab Illumina from that shop, from the shop, and go ahead and use an Omni Prism to awaken her. Grab that STMR. It's definitely nice. I've used it on a lot of different clears. And then yeah, it's just dark resist gear here. Wearing Esther's card. And then in his Brave Shift form, just as much attack and killers as I could stuff in there. I'm giving him his axe because his axe has higher variance. It also has the potential to hit very, very low, but whatever. YOLO, right? Indestructible Light for chain cap up, finishing off his killers, and then exceptional ingenuity for the dark resist, because like I said, he and Esther are going to be in a form that does not have 300% dark resist on turn 4, and so he's going to need a little bit of dark resist to make sure he's immune on turn 4. So here he's 300% Reaper, 325 killers ready to go. All right, 2B, as you can see, I've given her all the best gear. Emperor's Ring, Magister's Ring, Ruler's Chainmail, Dragon Helm, gave her the Dark Vision's Katana. I can get away with that because she's EX3, thus her Trust Mastery procs when she's wearing her Vision card. So that means you don't need to have her TMR or STMR as long as you have her Vision card equipped. And so then you just have to fill in that last little bit, that 100% TDH, which all you need is Strength, takes care of that. Undead Killer Plus, GF Extension, Inherit Will, that's A2 TMR for the 500 static attack, and she is ready to rock and roll. There you go. Now she's going to start in her Brave Shift form, which is 300% Dark Resist, as you can see. You notice I gave her Aurora Scarf. That's because her normal attack does... her normal attack does 5 LB fill for the party, and that's going to be very useful for Wilk, for getting his LB up, because as those of you that use Wilk, he is a janky unit, and he needs a lot of babysitting with regards to his limit burst, because like half of his skills require a full limit gauge, plus his limit burst is a stacking limit burst. It's just stupid how convoluted his kit is and how convoluted it is to make him deal decent damage. But he does bring a 90% defense break, so for that reason he's on the party. But this is going to help him get his LB up without worry. She also has Tyvus' Spirit for the mod boost. Since we're not going light element, Tyvus' Spirit will definitely help. All right. Yep. So we should be good to go. Here's the team. Let's go ahead and see how we get this done. All right, so there's the AoE magic, totally resisted. First thing before you do anything else, Esther's going to Rage Beast Roar on Wilk, so that dispels both of them. So no more Dark Imperil on those two. So now Wilk can shift, do his LB to do 1 stack. He's only going to get 1 stack because he requires 6 turns to do a fully stacked LB burst. We do not have that luxury because Cloud's preemptive LB boost will expire on turn 6, so can't do that. Alright, Cloud will just do some LB fill for himself. Sylvie is going to, so she's provoking everything, so she just needs some resistance, Passionate Knight, burgeoning defense, and she will be fine. She won't take anywhere close to 5,000 damage. That's sort of the threshold at which point you'll start losing your damage taken score, so she'll not take anywhere near 5,000 damage in this fight. Alright, Rosa is going to go ahead and start singing. Alright, 2B can just do her normal attack, which she will do twice to help fill up Wilk's LB. Alright, so now Sylvie's going to shift. Okay, we'll do a Paladin's Defense for some Mirage stacks, and then double Clever Paladin Strike to help fill up Wilk. Alright, if that doesn't fill up Wilk, then just have 2B do her normal attack, and that should fill him up for sure. Now he can do Rock Style Quake Blade. That's to fully charge his 90% break, which we'll do next turn. Esther will do Shatterbolt, Energizing Bunny, and True Storm Brand. 2B can just do her normal attack. Cloud is going to shift and do Elemental Lightning for the mod boost to his Brave Shifted LB. Make sure you do his Brave Shift when you do this skill, because you don't want to buff the wrong LB. All right. So on this turn, we're gonna push the boss below 50%, because you really need to go below 50% by turn 4, or else it will ruin all of your buffs and everything that you've set up, and you don't want that. All right. So pushing it below 50% changes its AI so that it becomes harmless on turn 4. All right. Now to do this properly, you don't want to do, obviously we don't want to kill it. So I start with Esther, and then 2B, and then Wilk. Esther is the only one that is imbued with lightning right now, and so she's the only one that should do any sort of appreciable damage, which means we should not kill this thing on this turn. Okay, so I'll do Esther, 2B, and Wilk. There you go. Comfortably below 50%. Now Cloud can do his LB, normal form LB. That does the 40% Greatsword Imperil. Sylvie is now going to do Marion's Blessing Lightning to start the lightning ramp. Double Clever Paladin Strike to help fill up some LB. Okay, so now it's turn 4. Rosa's done singing, which means everybody has a 300% LB buff. Perfect. So we'll go ahead and do Reaper Killer on Esther, Reaper Killer on Wilk. But before we do that, let's have Esther go ahead and set up for her burst, because we don't want to do too much damage to the boss. Wilk will come back to normal form, do his Memories of the Ancestral Dragon. All right. 2B will do Tyvus' Spirit. Cloud will shift, do his Elemental Burst for the 150 amp, fill LB, and nothing personal for the mod boost to his LB. And Sylvie will do her Brave Shifted LB for the buffs. All right, that should be where we want to be. Okay, and yep. All right, and everyone should be full LB gauge, ready to go. Okay, so now Rosa can do Prayer of Exorcism on Cloud and on 2B. So now everyone has a 250% Reaper Killer. All right, Wilk will shift. Okay, 2B shifts. All right, Sylvie is going to triple Clever Paladin Strike. Cloud does his LB. All right, so Cloud starts, there's a little bit of a wind up, and then we can send everybody else. All right, so let's see how we do. Alright, I'm hoping for somewhere between 11 and 12 billion. Let's see how we did. I think my highest so far has been 11.4, but that was before I did this new strategy. Whoa! Hey, there's a new high score. Sweet. I wasn't expecting it to go that high, but man, that 250% killer buff really helps, huh? Nice. Alright, very cool. Let's see who the winners were. All right, yeah, Cloud and 2B obviously carrying that fight. Esther and Wilk, you know, just bringing up some nice side damage. You know, Sylvie putting in 143 million. You never know, that could make a difference between, you know, hitting, you know, just staying inside rank 1000 or rank 500, whatever it might be. So yeah, very cool. I was not expecting to go that high. I'm glad I thought about using that Zidane STMR on Rhodes. I hadn't thought about that until just now. It's funny because I was using it on my Chizuru in my initial clears, and then just didn't even think about putting it on Rosa because she already had the 300% LB buff in her SLB. But yeah, all right, very cool. So that's how I got this done. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully it was helpful to you guys. Good luck with your Dark Visions rankings out there. Hopefully you guys can all get under rank 1000 and get those nice rewards. Hopefully you get whatever you can. Just do your best. You know, like I said, Dark Visions, it's for the whales. It's not really meant for casuals to do really well. So it's definitely works against you unless you have all the latest and greatest units. And I just happen to get really lucky having a Cloud. If I didn't have that Cloud, if I didn't get lucky and you know, shitter him on a ticket, I would not be able to get anywhere near this score. And so that's really the only reason why I'm at all competitive on this particular Dark Visions event. But hopefully you guys do well, and like I said, I'll be gone for the weekend. I'll be back probably like Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. I should be back at it to take on the Black Dragon. Hopefully we'll have some news about Clash of Wills and the new Clash of Wills unit. I'm excited about that, so hopefully we'll get some news about that next week, and I will see you on the other side.